You know what's the scariest part about China to a Westerner? The existence of another possibility.
I'm glad you stopped by, amazing viewer. Allow me to make this point clear. I am posting this video because of headlines, and headlines from the US concerning China. Is there something good that China has ever done that deserves a good headline? I just want to know that. Apparently, Americans think that China wants to take over the world. Is that true, China?
When the system and values that you've been believing in for your entire life is being challenged, of course you will panic.
I'm currently in the center of Beijing, where behind me there's a massive military parade going on.
It's the New York Times and my good old friend David Pearson spreading U.S. propaganda again, but this time from the Beijing military parade. The Victory Day celebration against fascism just happened in Beijing. David Pearson was there, basically to give us the idea that China was seeking to replace the U.S.
China doesn't want this. Don't worry.
As if China is an empire.
China's trying to send a message that, the U.S. isn't the only show in town, essentially.
According to David, China is a more scary version of the U.S. They are the U.S. empire, but without any checks and balances, but more authoritarian, more scary than the U.S. empire.
Think about the leaders that have assembled here today. It's Iran, Russia, North Korea. These are decidedly anti-Western countries. This sends a very clear signal to the United States and to the rest of the world that there's this alternative world order where authoritarians can exist without pressure from the West.
But the thing is, imperialism has a material reality to it. It's not just an adjective that we use against countries you don't like. So let's break down what the US empire actually is. I like to use Tricontinental Research Institute's hyper-imperialism, a decadent new stage. It talks about the global north, which is another way of saying US empire. The global north is the US-led imperial bloc, which consists of 49 countries. And we can kind of see it as 4 rings, and the inner ring, the US, of course, because it is US-led, UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and Israel. These 6 countries share intelligence, so it's the inner circle. And then the second circle, you have these European countries, and then the third and fourth ring. That's what we're referring to when we talk about the US empire. It's an empire that is a cohesive military, political, and economic bloc of countries. It's not just the US by itself. This structure allows the US, though, and these countries who are active participants to exert power across the world. So China, Russia, North Korea, or any other country can't just go in there and usurp the US. There is no alternative structure that is created by China. The US empire's coercive power is vast, and we can basically think about it as having 3 pillars of coercion: military, financial, and propaganda. And all of these different pillars uphold the US empire. But of course, the New York Times wants you to believe that China is a threat. It is the way that they preserve and justify their military operations, their constant warmongering, and all the coercion that is done in the name of supposedly democracy and freedom and security. It's all just to maintain its power across the world. There is no replacing the US empire, and none of the global south countries even want to replace the US empire, including China.
So after nearly 2 years of the back and forth between, don't worry about it, I only got one eyelash on. Don't worry about it. After nearly 2 years of the back and forth between China and America for the BS, basically, that they were going through in trying to sell TikTok, it looks like TikTok finally sold. And America has already begun its charade. It has already began the witch hunt. They have already begun, you know what I mean? Like the things that they wanted to do in order to basically paint TikTok out to be like a monster company, and the witch hunt tour. So let me show you. Okay, so immediately when I went and searched this, the very first thing that came up was this Washington Post article in which they said why TikTok is dangerous, consider this scenario. And I immediately knew, since it is the Washington Post, who owns the Washington Post? Exactly. Feel free to put it down below, but because of, I can't say it out loud. Okay, immediately I knew that this was going to be a propaganda piece. Consider this scenario in which they basically just talk about how China wants to kablooey Taiwan and that they could use this and I'm like, None of this is even plausible because one, the United States has done a bang up job at ensuring that the relations between China and America have not been smoothed over. America did a bang up job at that. The White House is weighing in another reprieve. Every day the app continues operating is a threat. What they truly mean is that they don't want the truth to get out. So they did a background analysis of the history of the app. And right around here is where I realized they've taken you on an emotional roller coaster and they've created an entire scenario up in their head. None of this is based on facts. Absolutely nothing in this piece is based on facts besides the information about TikTok's company, the things that we can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt, shit that we can literally Google and find. Everything else is nothing more. It's riddled with lies in addition to the facts that we can Google and find. So it's just a made up manufactured story that the Washington Post put out there. So they said, imagine this following scenario. China decides to attack Taiwan. Never happened. That hasn't even been a reality. In fact, they've been trying to find ways to smooth things over, but America keeps interjecting. And fearing the United States will come to Taiwan's aid. Again, America keeps interjecting. Launches preemptive strikes against American targets overseas. Again, never even happened. Not even in the vicinity of happening. Never happened. China went out in the sea because America decided to send several warships to that area of the Pacific, way too close to their waters. And China, in retaliation, sent their warships out to let it be known, this ain't that. Bitch, stay on your side of the fucking hemisphere. Again, made up. This shit is fabricated. It's completely made up. And they thought that, imagine this following scenario would cover up the fact that you're literally in real time trying to implant fear into people as a reason as to why y'all need to do this crazy shit to TikTok. But I digress. Mind you, America's spying on every country. In the United States, Chinese operators launched drone attacks from secret bases located more than 38,000 acres from farmland China has purchased. Hey, nobody told you to let them purchase land. That sounds like it's your fault. And y'all also continue to tip the scales so that China and that Taiwan, and the Philippines have issues with China. It's not even your hemisphere of the world. I'm not even sure why you would be over there, but I digress. As the government considers its options, the 170 million American TikTok users open their feeds to thousands of bots disguised as people. Mind you, that's precisely what APAC is doing currently, but I digress. In addition to our nation's government, which is also funded by and ran by APAC. Rattling off anti-American propaganda, also APAC is doing the exact same thing. Literally the exact same thing. Encouraging young students desperate for a meaning to fight their own government. No, they did not. I can assure you that. It was not TikTok. It was definitely something that was already stewing and brewing long before TikTok even got there, but I digress. Encouraging young students desperate to fight for their own government and spreading disinformation at such a rapid rate that it's impossible to discern fact from fiction. So here's the thing. What I hear from that is your propaganda machine is trash. Their application is so good that it has broken your propaganda machine into shreds. It has also shattered the false reality you've been telling the entire world by force, at gunpoint. That is why y'all want to get rid of TikTok. It is the exact same thing that we've known this entire time. But the reality of this fake scenario and what we're seeing in front of us, the veil being completely destroyed and Israel be at the cusp of collapse, like they're literally, Yair Lapid stated that the state of Israel is actively in collapse. They're collapsing, as well as America, France, and several other Western countries, and Japan included. That checks out. The veil has been lifted. It crashed. And you think TikTok is the reason. Nope. The facts were out there. TikTok just connected the dots for us. They just helped us talk to each other faster, but we were always going to do this. It just sped up the process. Anyways, it's clear that they're still gonna do this. So I'm gonna dip up out of here pretty soon. You can catch that information that you're looking for at a different platform down below. Link is in the bio, okay? Because it's clear to us that y'all just want us to stop talking to each other. We're never gonna stop talking to each other because you're clearly the common enemy. Child, let me go finish my lashes.
An interesting question to ponder here is, what do US get when China's production is down? Does US production go up when China's production goes down? Does that work? Obviously, we know that China produces more than to the US. For US is a consumer to a lot of productions. For one of the consumer to work hard to lower the production of the producer, it makes no sense. Okay, I know a lot of people will think I'm taking side, but I'm telling you, we are on the same side. Just like you cannot do much when your government is pushing for a policy that makes no sense. I cannot do much when Chinese government is pushing for any policy that I don't agree. So we are on the same side. Chinese people and the US people. We produce, you consume. How can we be fighting?
China does not want to take over the world. It never has, and it probably never will. And this is according to a major US study, and it should change how the world works with Beijing. And join us for in-depth geopolitical analysis at culturalperspective.com. So researchers from top universities, including MIT and Harvard, analyzed over 12,000 Chinese language articles and speeches. Their conclusion? China's strategic goals haven't really changed in centuries. They're regional, consistent, and focused inward. China's priorities: safeguard its territory, maintain internal stability, and expand economic ties. The study challenges the common US narrative that China wants global hegemony. It does not. Instead, the focus is on socialism with Chinese characteristics, a model for China alone, not for export. Even as Chinese military and economy grow, and its military has grown, its territorial claims remain consistent, not expanding. The problem, the study says, is on the US side. The US military posture in the Pacific is based on a fear of global takeover. But this isn't the case, and it risks escalating tensions unnecessarily. So while the US builds more bases and alliances to contain China, China is deepening economic ties with the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. This is a 15-member trading alliance of Asian Pacific nations, and the Comprehensive and Progressive Treaty for Trans-Pacific Partnership, an 11-member trading pact including Canada, Mexico, Chile, Peru, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Singapore, Vietnam, Malaysia, and Brunei. These partnerships are expanding, and the US is a member of none of them. And while this is one example, it illustrates in general what's happening. The US is focusing on militarily containing China, and China is focusing on expanding economic partnerships. The US is like a dog, ferociously and endlessly barking behind a fence, expending great energy and effort to defend a yard China isn't trying to enter. And China calmly walks by on its way to the market, acknowledging the dog, but generally ignoring it, focusing its energy on getting things done.